Ask most people what the most valuable skill of the future will be, and you'll hear the same answers: programming, artificial intelligence, data analysis, technology. And while those skills are undoubtedly important, they may not be the real answer. Because history shows something surprising. The people who benefit most from major economic shifts are rarely the ones with the most technical knowledge. They're often the people who can identify value before everyone else sees it. When the internet transformed the world, fortunes weren't built only by engineers. They were built by people who understood where attention, opportunity, and behavior were moving. And today, as the economy changes once again, a similar pattern is emerging. The most valuable skill in the new economy may not be what you can do. It may be your ability to see what others don't. For most of human history, information was valuable because it was difficult to access. If you possessed specialized knowledge, you possessed an advantage. Lawyers understood laws that others didn't. Doctors understood medicine that others couldn't. Investors had access to information that ordinary people rarely saw. Knowledge created opportunity because knowledge was scarce. Then the internet changed everything. Suddenly, information became abundant. A person with a smartphone could access more knowledge in minutes than previous generations could access in months. Today, artificial intelligence is accelerating that shift even further. Complex topics can be explained instantly. Research can be summarized in seconds. Technical knowledge is becoming increasingly accessible. This creates an important question. If everyone has access to information, what becomes valuable? The answer may be one of the most misunderstood economic shifts of our time, because when information becomes abundant, the advantage moves elsewhere. It moves to judgment. Think about the modern world. People have access to endless information about health, yet many still struggle to make healthy decisions. People have access to countless resources about investing, yet many never build wealth. People can learn almost any skill online, yet relatively few transform that knowledge into meaningful results. The problem isn't information, the problem is deciding what matters, and that's where judgment enters the picture. Judgment is the ability to identify signal within noise, to distinguish valuable opportunities from distractions, to recognize which ideas deserve attention and which do not. This skill is becoming increasingly important because modern economies produce an overwhelming amount of information. Every day, people are flooded with opinions, predictions, news, data, advice, content. Most of it competes for attention. Very little of it creates lasting value. The individuals who thrive are often those who develop the ability to filter effectively, not by consuming more information, but by understanding which information deserves action. This is a pattern visible throughout history. When the internet emerged, millions of people used it. A much smaller number recognized how it would transform business. When smartphones appeared, millions bought devices. A much smaller number recognized how mobile technology would reshape entire industries. When social media expanded, billions joined platforms. A much smaller number understood the economic value of attention. The information was available to everyone. The insight was not, and that's an important distinction because opportunities often become obvious only after they become valuable. Before that happens, they usually look uncertain, confusing, easy to dismiss, which is why judgment matters. It allows people to identify change before consensus forms around it. This doesn't mean predicting the future perfectly. Nobody can do that. It means developing the ability to evaluate possibilities more effectively than the average person. And in a rapidly changing economy, that skill becomes extraordinarily powerful because technology is reducing the value of many routine forms of knowledge, but it is increasing the value of decisions, the ability to choose where to focus, what to build, what to ignore, what trends matter, what opportunities are real. These choices increasingly determine outcomes. In many ways, the new economy is creating a strange paradox. Information is becoming cheaper, good judgment is becoming more expensive, and those who possess it may find themselves benefiting disproportionately from the changes taking place around them. But judgment alone isn't enough, because seeing opportunities is one thing. Positioning yourself to benefit from them is something else entirely. And that's where the story becomes even more interesting. Having good judgment is valuable, but judgment without action is little more than an interesting opinion. This is where many people get stuck. They read the right book, follow the right trends, understand where the world is heading, yet their lives remain largely unchanged. Why? Because recognizing an opportunity and positioning yourself for it are two different skills. History is filled with people who correctly predicted the future. They knew the internet would grow. They knew smartphones would become essential. They knew social media would transform communication. They knew artificial intelligence would become important. Yet many of them never benefited financially from those insights. The reason is simple. Knowledge creates awareness. Positioning creates outcomes. Think about the people who built significant wealth during major economic shifts. They weren't always the smartest people in the room. They weren't always the most technically skilled. What they often shared was the ability to act before certainty arrived. They moved while others were still debating. They experimented while others were waiting for proof. They positioned themselves where future value was likely to emerge. And that's a crucial distinction, because in the new economy, opportunities often become crowded very quickly. Once everyone agrees that something is valuable, the biggest advantages are usually gone. This is why timing matters, not perfect timing. Nobody has that, but early positioning, the willingness to place small bets on ideas, skills, industries, and technologies that may become important in the future. Consider how many people dismissed content creation as a serious career, or ignored e-commerce in its early years, or underestimated the power of mobile applications. At the time, these opportunities seemed uncertain. Today, they seem obvious. That's how most transformative opportunities work. They look questionable before they look inevitable, and that's where judgment becomes powerful. It helps people see possibility before consensus forms. But there's another layer to this story. The new economy doesn't merely reward people who identify opportunities. It rewards people who adapt continuously, because change is happening faster than ever. Industries evolve, technologies improve, business models emerge and disappear. What worked 5 years ago may not work 5 years from now. This means the most valuable skill isn't a specific piece of knowledge. It's the ability to update your thinking, to revise assumptions, to remain flexible while others cling to outdated models. In many ways, adaptability is applied judgment. It's one thing to recognize change, it's another to respond effectively to it. And that's why some people consistently stay ahead. Not because they're always right, but because they're willing to learn faster than the environment changes. They understand that success in the modern economy isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions. Where is attention moving? Where is technology heading? What behaviors are changing? What problems are becoming more important? The people who ask these questions consistently often find themselves standing in the path of opportunity long before it becomes obvious. And over time, those small advantages compound. One good decision leads to another. One opportunity creates access to the next. One insight creates momentum. Eventually, what appears to be luck is often the result of years spent developing the ability to see and respond to change. For generations, economic success was closely tied to access to information. The people who knew more often earned more. Today, information is everywhere. Artificial intelligence can generate answers instantly. Knowledge is increasingly abundant. But abundance creates a new challenge. Knowing what matters, the most valuable skill in the new economy may not be coding, marketing, finance, or even artificial intelligence itself. It may be judgment, the ability to identify meaningful opportunities, filter out distractions, adapt to change, and position yourself before the crowd arrives. Because when information becomes cheap, good decisions become priceless. Now I'd like to hear your perspective. What do you think is the most valuable skill in today's economy? Technical expertise, communication, adaptability, judgment, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden forces shaping wealth, technology, business, and human behavior, subscribe and join us for the next deep dive. Because in a world overflowing with information, knowing what matters may be the ultimate advantage.